All right, billable hours. We're going to talk you through sort of the process today and how to measure, what to measure, why to measure. And I'm just flashing back to myself in, I think it was around 2009, 2010, around the time I got married. A shout out to my wife, Elodie. But I remember, like most of us in business, you start the business because you're really good, Sparky, aircon, solar, whatever. You're excellent with your hands and you get in there and you do it. And then you're like, maybe the year wasn't quite what you thought. You've had one of those years where like you get to the end of the year and you're like, wow, I wasn't really expecting that. And then you think, what if I just push really hard again? Yeah. So I'll just do the same thing again. And then get to the next year and you're like, wasn't quite what I thought. And then do the same thing again. And usually there's like between the first 2 and 3 to 4 years, everyone's busy, but you might not necessarily be making the money. I remember for me, I kind of cracked it. I'd had enough and I sat there and I looked at my income and I'm working so hard, 8, 10, 12, 14 hours every single day. Like I'm not missing a day. I'm missing out on things and I'm getting to the end of it and the money's just not there. And I remember like pulling myself back, and I'm a big, I got asked the other day, what do you do for fun? Yeah. I love to surf, but like put me on Google Sheets on a Friday night with a glass of wine. That's like the dream, right? And I remember I made this sheet up real basic, and I remember we had 4 or 5, 6 staff at the time, and I looked at the hours we were getting in, like not the hours we were working, the hours we were actually billable. And I looked at it and I was like, holy crap, I'm paying everyone 40-hour weeks and we're getting 30, 28, 32, 34. And it was like in that moment, this sort of light bulb went off and I'm going, holy crap, you miss 2 hours at $100 a resource. That's a week. That's $200. That is what, 10 grand a year. You got a team of 5, 50 grand, just cooked on the fry pan, gone into the abyss. And it was like in that moment, I was understanding, okay, I'm missing something out here. So, are you relating to?
Yeah, 100% can relate to it. Yeah, totally. It's sort of something that took me a long time to pick up as an important part.
And it sounds so simple, right?
Yeah. Everyone should be like, oh, how do you not know that? But you don't ever get taught it. You as a tradesman or when you're working for someone else, it's just like, here's the job, you go do it, and you don't hear about anything else on the back end. You just next job. But when it's your business, it's not about the next job. You need to make sure that every job is making you some money. And the easiest way I found now is through checking your billable hours.
Yeah, so I like to split it into, the more I talk about it, the more I'm just so energized by the conversation. I love to talk about it. And, I see a lot of people, we see a lot of people through our program, and you can pretty much pinpoint the fact that if you're not making money, it's due to a lack of billable hours, and not a lack of working hard, not a lack of being busy, because we're all working hard, we're all really busy, but I guess a lack of working smarter, not harder, and measuring this stuff. So I've split it into 2 things. So billable hours to me is, first component is utilization rate. So if you looked at it, say if you use a job management system on Simpro, there would be like, how much is someone utilized? It's called a utilization rate. So in other words, if I'm a 1 utilization, then I'm 40 hours a week. If I'm a 0.8, 32, 0.6, 24, making myself clear. So it's like, how many hours billable, chargeable am I getting in? That's your utilization rate. The second part is efficiency. In other words, what's the quality of those billable hours? So you know better than anyone, you can do 8 hours or you can do 8 hours.
Yes.
You think about a project, let's talk about projects for a sec. You think about that, you turn up with the gear, organised, variation walkthrough happened already, brackets and everything's just done. You put in a good 8 hours, you're killing it. You put in 8 hours when you've got to leave to go to Susie's house at 1 o'clock, or you're late because you have to go to the wholesaler, you put in 4 or 5 hours. That's a huge difference. That's a lack of organised time, so the quality was way down. So we've got those sort of 2 components.
Yeah, and likewise with projects it started with how you quoted it, obviously, so it's super important to understand that those hours have been allocated more than likely to be 100% efficient. I mean, that's the way that most of the time, most people I know, with the way that you would quote it. So it's super important that you actually run the job, so it's efficient so that you're hitting whatever your target was that you've allowed for in the quote. to then equal exactly what you need to. So it's perfect ratio of, or if not more, of your actuals versus billables.
Yeah, so you take yourself out of the quote for a sec, like into the quoting philosophy, and let's say a rewire it's going to take 4 days, trading apprentice team, or let's be able to allocate that. Chances are when you looked at it, you were like 4 8-hour days.
Yes.
You weren't thinking, I'll turn up late this day, then the surf's good, I'll leave early that afternoon, then I'll be really disorganised for the second day and go to the wholesaler. Or actually then I'm going to get a call from Ceiling Fan Jan who wants a fan installed. Oh, sweet Jan, we'll be there at 10 o'clock. I'll set up my tools, then I'll pack them up, then I'll go to Jan's house, then I'll come back and then I'll reset up and repack up. And the money's made on the second, third, fourth, fifth day in the rough ends. And that's just the project. And I'm sure we're big believers and you have to measure everything. If it's not measured, it's not managed. And when it's not managed, you might as well just be putting your money in the gutter and just watching it float away. And that's maybe a better use of it because at least you're getting some enjoyment out of watching it sail away in your style. And then service and maintenance. There's sort of two ways, in my opinion, to handle service and maintenance jobs. Obviously, you're going from job to job to job to job and somehow, don't you reckon every time you're traveling, it's in school hours somehow?
Yes. You're always stuck in a 40k zone.
Yeah, it's like, is that a 40k zone or like the traffic's bad or whatever? So, service and maintenance jobs, you're pretty much getting 5 1-hour jobs in.
Yes.
3 2-hour jobs.
Yeah.
Or, 1 full day 8-hour job, right? Yeah. So you just picture the 5 1-hour jobs. If your hourly rate is say $100 an hour and you get 5 hours in, it's $500.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Do
I need to write it down?
No, I think
But it's like
with the maths.
So it's like what's got to change is you've got let's say your daily rate needs to be $800 because that's 8 times 100. Just put that in for math reasons, and you're getting 500. That's a $300 difference per day. That is $1,500 per week, $75 grand a year.
Yeah.
So when people sit there and say, "Hey, I'm unable to make money on the smaller stuff," you go, "Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee because you're not charging a call-out fee, service fee. I like to call it a small job travel fee because it is what it is. Your minutes are only allocating for time.
Yeah.
So it's like you're charging 40 minutes or whatever, you get to 5 of those small jobs, you're able to charge 40 minutes, which makes up your hours, in other words, makes up your $800.
Yeah.
Making sense?
Totally, 100% makes perfect sense to it all. And I think it's really important that you identify with a small, what do you want to call it, small service job charge or a service charge or whatever you want to call it.
What do you call it?
We just call it a service charge. Or as a service charge. So it's just a fee to turn up to get there,
and
it covers the time. Our service charge is $80 plus GST. So it gives us coverage for the time. Where we're based, you can hit by traffic fairly regularly.
That new road.
Yeah,
Cam's on the Gold Coast.
On the Goldie, yeah. So we're getting smashed at the moment with the M1 with the works down on the southern end of the Goldie.
So finish that road sometime
never,
soon.
Ever. Well, they'll start back somewhere else. So it really affects your day, and particularly if you get jammed on it. So it has to be a figure that encompasses enough time. And sure, you're going to have a win on some jobs because that's where your scheduling comes into it. So you're like, let's just bounce around through the same suburbs to make it efficient as possible. But often we realise that can't always happen. And the reality of it is that you just need to fill the day sometimes, and they might have a little bit of travel. So I believe it's all about a balancing act, and that you get to a figure that covers time to allow you to be efficient as such to get your hours.
Yeah. So I've sat with a lot of people, and usually it's between 35 and 55 minutes you're looking to cover. Yep. Obviously it depends on, are you rural guy, girl, or are you a city person? City presents its own issues where, you might be traveling less kilometers by a lot more traffic.
Yep.
And rural, you might be traveling a lot more Ks, but
great distance.
You got a couple of cows on the road,
a
couple of donkeys walking past, a couple of
camel, maybe,
the casual camel interrupting the trip. But yeah, it's super interesting to know that usually the average is sort of 40 minutes, and this is what we kind of sit here and help people track, because if you're losing those hours, you're essentially losing money. And all these jobs, the elephant in the room of the service and maintenance jobs is the amount of administration work is at hand here. So it's like that. So this, back to what I was saying before, there's 2 different ways you can handle it. You can add service fee, call out fee, small job travel fee to sort of get to your key figure of $800,
Yep.
or you change your hourly rate.
Yes.
So picture this: 100 times 8 is 800,
Yep.
and what is it? 100 and, well, probably not even 120 times 7, something not too dissimilar to that. 115 will then get you to 800 as well. So it's like, can you just manipulate the situation in a way that works and go, okay, I can charge a higher minutes with a lower rate, or a lower rate and a higher minutes, but hey, all roads lead to Rome. And it's got to be really creative here. I found a small job travel fee was the path of least resistance in communicating, because no one could argue with the fact that, you know, I would say this to clients: we get 5 billable hours, we can do 5 1-hour jobs, we can do 3 2-hour jobs, and I shouldn't be penalised as a business owner whether your job goes for 8 hours or 1 hour or 2 hours. And it's the most misunderstood situation. And I believe that you know, there is no substitute for early communication. If you, I love to say this, but if there's a problem with your invoice, problem with your process, in other words, if the client's got your invoice and they're looking at it and they're shocked, like, what the hell went on?
Didn't communicate correctly.
Yeah, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Why are we here?
Why are we here? But I tell you why we're here: billable hours.
Yes.
That's why we're here. So
trying to make it up.
Yeah. So measuring, you have to measure, and that's, if you are watching this, you are probably going, yeah, I can relate to that. The money's not quite there. I'll tell you why it's not there. It's a lack of caring about the utilisation of your staff members and also of your efficiency, which is the quality of those billable hours. So what are ways to sort of get the quality of the hours up? What have you found that works?
Well, obviously understanding what people are capable of to begin with. The easiest way is to check every job, so that you check and monitor, and then you can see, okay, is this particular tradesman working efficiently? Have we allowed enough time on the quote? So it's about a bit of reflection by checking the work that's been done, to work forward and improve and get better outcomes, which really important for my business is that we check every single job, so that we know that what were the actual hours allowed on the job, and what was the actual billed hours on the job. And you want them to be what your percentage is that you're working off, and it could be 100% you want to work off, or it could be 75% or 80%. That's what you need to figure out as a business owner, with how many billable hours do I have in a day to hit my target, like you were talking about before. It could be $800. What your target for hitting on a dollar value wise is, but you can skin it multiple ways by raising rates or service charges and all those sorts of things. But it's really about monitoring it. The easiest way that we do it is we utilise Simpro, and Simpro is really good because the guys put the information in on the job, how many hours they're there for, and it tells us up in the schedule exactly how long they were there for and what was allowed for, particularly if it's a quota job. Obviously, if it's just a do and charge type scenario, you should be hitting 100%. If you're not, I'm not sure what you're doing.
Well, that's really interesting because, you know, we talk a lot about rate set, and, you know, your rate can be set to sort of 6, 7 or 8 hours a day. And this is completely misunderstood, but on a cost plus job or hourly rate jobs, or charger, as some people like to call it, you know, you look at it and someone works 7 hours and this is just, like, you can say it and it sounds really clear, but you need to sort of grasp. I've been told I say grasp and not grasp. Do you say grasp or grasp?
Grasp.
I'm going to say grasp.
Grasp, that's right. Broccoli, let's not get too far into it.
No, let's not talk about it. So it's like, you know, think about this: you work 7 till 2:30, and the surf's good. And you're like, I'm going to go surfing. Cool. You got 7 hours in. That's $700. But your rate was set to getting 8 hours in, which needed $800. So the $100 difference a day per person really, really, really adds up.
Yes.
So when you sit here and you talk about, like, it's not. Often we can do the big things well, and we're doing the job, and the client's flicking the switch and the light's turning on, and I plugged the internet in and it worked. Sick, cool. It's irrelevant if you're not making money.
100%.
Right? So it's like, wherever you are, just calm down, slow down, and, you know, get a process for measuring and monitoring your hours, and double check. You know what? You might be getting the hours in, but the quality might be down.
Yeah,
or your quality might be up, or you might not be getting the hours in. And chances are it's one of those two things. So, yeah, your final encouragement to people, sort of staring in the barrel of this?
Check and measure every job. That's the easiest thing that I could say. And develop that process, that plan that you have in place that you can do for each and every job. And I can guarantee that you'll start to get a clearer picture of where your time is going, either with yourself or with your team, whether it's large or small. And that can really give you the easiest outcome of how you can leverage the business to become more efficient and essentially make more money.
Yeah, we've got spreadsheets on this. Obviously, your job management system is fantastic. If you don't have a job management system, it's not 1990. You can get one. Yeah. Yes. But do you need one? Probably, yeah. We should do that topic another time. But
100%.
you know, as an Excel spreadsheet or sheet spreadsheet will do it for you, and you're just looking at a couple of things. You're looking at obviously utilisation, and you're looking at the quality of those hours. A spreadsheet will tell you everything but the quality.
Yes.
And so to raise your quality, a couple of things you can do. You know, have the variation walkthrough before you do the job. Yeah. That's really important. Say of a larger job, be organised on job notes, make sure materials in the car. We do a session on this. It's just lots of stuff going on there. But basically, make every hour count that little bit more. So, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, you learned something today. I'm Crowie. This is Cam, and we'll see you next time.